one of the first things, and I need to be clear with what I'm saying here, is we use these models of thought for players' conceptual understanding of how they play. So I'm not saying these are the right or wrong things I'm doing. These support our conceptual understanding of how we want to play. So we split the field into 5. Outside wide, inside wide, central, and you might call these half space, inside channel, outside, whatever you call them. The language is important. I'm not going to get into the debate of which language is best. The language is important so that the players have the conceptual framework of understanding. So this is how we've divided the field into the 5 vertical channels, and the reason we've done that is as follows. So if you are in the ball centrally, you will get a central response off of the opposition. So the opposition will set up in a way that responds to you having the ball centrally. If you move the ball 1 lane over, they will respond a different way. So in your half space, they'll respond this way. And if you move the ball another lane over into the wide channel, they will respond a different way. And not just what they will respond in a different way, your positionings you take up, the positions you take up and the movements your teams take up are in relation to these areas of play. So it's really important we understand these areas of play and switching of play. And if we're just moving the ball from one lane to the other lane, the opposition are able to respond from response 1 to response 2 to response central to response half. It's a very easy shift for a well-coached team to shift slowly from responses to responses. The idea is to try and make them work for their response. So moving the ball plus 2 lanes brings about a question of how well can you respond to this ball movement. The player receiving it should be able to find gaps amongst their movement to penetrate. And this happens at the very top level. And what I want you to do is pause this video right now and go and watch the Dortmund video that is linked in below, and just try and detail some of the concepts I've shown so far on switching the play and come back to the presentation. So what you would have seen in the Dortmund video is horizontal movement and considered horizontal movement to try and increase the space of which the other team has to defend. So moving the ball from one channel to another and looking to get a response off of the opposition when right. See, they went back into the left and then back out to the right before going across to try and increase the defensive footprint of the opposition. So you see in the diagram I've just shown, the black area increased. And it's important to note when the ball is played at the adult level, the professional level, from a left back to a right back, and the right back now doesn't have pressure on him and he's able to push the ball out of his feet, we now not only have asked them to move from left to right and spread them out left to right, we have asked their back line to likely drop off if we have runners in behind their back line, because at the professional level, a centre back around the halfway line pushing the ball out of his feet without pressure is looking to see if he can penetrate in behind, or at least having the option to do it, and therefore increasing the defensive footprint of the opposition horizontally and vertically in this one moment. What we talk about here is 3 ways to be able to penetrate. So one is to spread the opposition out horizontally and increase the defensive footprint that way. One is to spread the opposition out vertically and increase the defensive footprint that way. And the last one is to remove the layers of their defensive lines. So in formation, simple terms, 4-2-3-1, the 2 in front of the 2 centre backs and behind the 3 is a layer in their midfield. 4-1-4-1 is a layer in their midfield. On a micro level, someone who coaches pressure, cover, balance, you are creating layers amongst your pressure. So you can speak about this in the grand scale that I've just shown you, as switching the ball 15 yards and getting players without pressure and pushing the ball out of their feet. Or you can speak about it on the smaller scale, where you might talk about the principles of a diamond, which are moving the ball right to get it back and then go through. And in that moment, you have spread the opposition out horizontally. There's a lot of good information about that, and I've included sections of that in my new book. So if we're taking a literal example, and we'll look at the blue team who are playing 4-1-4-1 in this example with a 4. The difference between deep area rotation and deep area wide rotation from deep circulation, and playing through the middle is just showcased here. So 5 playing to 6 in this moment of getting the ball. As we said, 6 now pushes the ball out of his feet. 9's going to run in behind, maybe 7 runs in behind, but someone's trying to run in behind to stretch the opposition. And then in that same moment, because 6 is more likely to be able to penetrate right now, the fullback may race on. Okay, and then the winger won't stay in a wide area, so the winger might go inside to try and pick the ball up, possibly in front of the defender that 9 is running in behind. So that defender cannot defend 9 running in behind and 7 dropping in between lines. Now 10 in this example has a choice. Does he drop out of the block, drop out of the engine, and try and pick the ball up in the right back area? Or does he stay and try and be ambitious and try and receive it between lines? And then that's obviously a case-to-case decision-making moment. And then the other quick example I want to give is playing through mid areas and how that affects wide rotation. So 3 playing into 4, 4 gets the ball and can turn without pressure. Now you might have another player on top of the last one where you only have one player running in behind because you've increased the likelihood of playing that pass because you are closer to the area of play. A centre-back playing a 60-yard ball and a centre-mid playing a 30-yard ball, you're more likely to have success with shorter passes. And in this example, because it's played through midfield, 10 would certainly try and receive it between lines. And the defender behind 9, won't be able to step to him. The fullback's likely trying to track 7, and then the left fullback, likely tracking 7. And then the fullback for us, number 2, is racing onto a wide position. So you in this moment, you are giving yourself the option of penetrating through, over, or around.